The world's a dangerous place. Get the industry's original and most trusted laser sighting system from Crimson Trace. A laser and light systems will enhance your effectiveness and help keep you and your family out of harm's way.
Welcome to Tom Gresham's Gun Talk, the #1 national voice in defense of your Second Amendment rights. Tom's given the staff the weekend off for the holiday. No need to call. Just sit back and enjoy this reloaded edition of Gun Talk. Now, here's Tom.
All right, better put your seatbelt on. It is going to be a wild and woolly ride today. We're going to have some fun. We're going to talk about guns. Hey, I'm Tom Gresham. I'm glad that you could be here. I'm glad that I could be here. We get together every week. We talk about guns and shooting and scopes and ammo and optics and cases and gun cleaning. It just doesn't really matter. We'll talk about almost anything. We try to keep a few things in perspective. We are the good guys and gals. We're the ones who shoot, own guns, store them properly. You know, we're the ones you don't hear a lot about, honestly. You hear about the folks who are screwing it up. You hear about criminals, of course, criminal use of guns. But people who own guns and use them responsibly, you just don't hear much about. Although, with more and more people having guns, keeping guns at home, and carrying guns for self-defense, you do hear more and more stories about people effectively stopping crime and saving themselves and their families and sometimes other people, sometimes even coming to the aid of police officers. More and more, we're getting those stories. Today, we're going to be talking about, a whole bunch of stuff. We have, of course, Gun Dealio. New updates are live for both the Android and the iPhone. If you have not fired up your Gun Dealio, do so. It'll load up the new update for you. If you don't have Gun Dealio on your smartphone, shame on you. Well, it just means you're spending more for guns and ammo and stuff than you should be. Gun Dealio is free. It's an app for your smartphone, for iPhone and Android. Just go on the App Store or Google Play and look for Gun Dealio, GUNDEALIO. We're going to be giving away some stuff. Well, actually, very cool stuff this month. By the way, the Nosler giveaway grand prize winner got that super Nosler rifle and 28 Nosler. Nathan B. in Farley, Iowa. Way to go, Nathan. We do give this stuff away. Very cool stuff. You know by now, I hope, most of you anyway, that we produce a number of television shows about guns and shooting. I created the first television show about self-defense, PDTV, Personal Defense TV, some years ago. And we have what I think is a groundbreaking series called First Person Defender. It is what they call a digital series. All that means is it's delivered online, kind of like House of Cards, the Kevin Spacey series. And we're just about to start shooting our third season of First Person Defender. If you've not seen it, well, it's easy. All you got to do is go to YouTube and look for Gun Talk Media, or just put a search for First Person Defender, where we take people and throw them into these self-defense situations. We're just about to get started on that. One of the people we had on last year is our good guy / victim. Joins us right now, Tommy Carnline. He's the public information officer for the Rapides Parish Sheriff's Office. Tommy, how are you?
I'm doing well, Tom. I appreciate being given the opportunity to call in again today.
Absolutely. You were, frankly, one of the hits of last year, because we just have gotten a ton of comments, and you've been kind enough on YouTube to go back and answer people's questions. They have a lot of questions. You've been in a wheelchair, since you were a teenager, I guess?
Yes, sir, since 1978, about 35 years or so.
Okay. So we kind of wanted to say, all right, how do you handle that? And I think one of the interesting parts was the takeaway you get from that, because you've worked with Wes Doss, our trainer, on this before. And Wes pointed out, he says, look, it's not just for people in wheelchairs. We all spend a lot of our day sitting in chairs, sitting somewhere. So let's talk about what do you do with that? So I think we got a lot of good teaching tips out of that.
We really did. And it brought to light that, just because even if you walk or whatever, if you're sitting in your vehicle, you're sitting at a restaurant, you're sitting in a movie theater, you're sitting at a football game or a sports event, and those things, you need to have a mindset going into there if something does happen, what you need to do, whether you're armed or not.
Mm-hmm. All right, let me ask you, you mentioned a movie theater. You are just up the road, a little bit north of Lafayette, Louisiana, where, of course, we had the theater shooting, I guess a couple of weeks ago now. And I'd kind of like to get your take on it, because there's been an awful lot of noise about this and a lot of different parties talking about it. One of the things that I think got lost in a lot of this, and because of your background and your, what you do professionally, you can address this. One of the things that I got lost was what I think was an incredibly good performance response by the police there.
Yes, sir, exactly. This was very personal to me because the guys that went in there are friends of mine. Lafayette Police Department, Lafayette PD SWAT, their SWAT commander. We've known each other for almost 20 years, I guess. I was actually in Baton Rouge in meetings, and my phone lit up, active shooter in Lafayette. And, of course, the first thing I do is try to reach out to my guys that I know. And I did get one of them who actually wasn't on the scene and let me know that everybody, all the law enforcement officers were okay, but there were some civilian casualties and that the shooter was actually deceased. So I stayed up really late that night getting updates, actually updating my agency because we have a grand theater in Alexandria. So it was a really dynamic situation. And there were a lot of heroes in this deal. First and foremost were those teachers that actually, because of what? Because of their training, because of their training in a school scenario about pulling a fire alarm if there's an emergency of a fire or whatever. You know, we teach fire drills. We teach fire drills to our students and to faculty and everything else. I don't believe there's been a child burned in a fire in a school in probably over 50 years. I did have those stats at one time, but it's been a very long time. And it's because of training. It's because of training. Those teachers, they pulled that fire alarm. Jenna Moe and Allie Martin, those ladies did what they knew to do. They did what they were trained to do, and it got people out of that theater in an orderly fashion. Now, our bad guy, which I'm not even going to acknowledge by using his name.
Thank you, because that's my position. I will not use his name because that's what they want. Not. They want the notoriety.
That is exactly right. I'm not going to use his name. The criminal, the deranged person that did this tried to blend in with the crowd at first. Within just a couple minutes, Lafayette PD responded, and they got officers in that theater. He saw them, and he went back in and did the only thing that he should have done, and he took his own life. So the quick response of those teachers, the quick response of Lafayette PD, that situation could have been a lot worse. But it wasn't. Thank God it wasn't worse. And I say training is a lot to do with that.
Well, we talk about training a lot. Of course, that's what first-person offender is about. And, I mean, of course, you're trained up. And even with the training you have, of course, we knew you were trained up, so we gave you a harder scenario because, I mean, you know what you're doing. But even at that, everybody learns. But if you don't have any training, that's when people freeze. They don't know what to do. They run around in circles. I love the phrase, is it time to panic? Well, yeah, if you don't have any training, you don't have a clue, maybe it is time to panic because you got nothing else to go to there.
Exactly. That's one thing that I've been wanting, or it's been commented about a lot about me, which I really appreciate. All the great comments that people have been, the compliments they've been paying me. It's over and over. Man, he did great. His training, and that is exactly right. My training that I've had over my 25-year career really showed through in that scenario. Even though I made some mistakes, I let that one person in the first scenario, he got too close for me. I should have created more distance. But that is the key, is that training. And I want to touch on one other thing about training. In the last year and a half to 2 years, the Louisiana Tactical Police Officers Association, which I'm a member of and the Secretary-Treasurer, we have really concentrated on medical tactical combat casualty care training. And we've got a great trainer out of Shreveport. His name's Craig Menefee. He was a combat medic in Iraq. He has been putting a program together, and the use of tourniquets has been huge, not only in the military, but in law enforcement in the last 2 or 3 years. Lafayette PD officers responded and had tourniquets on their person, and I believe at least 3 tourniquets were used to stop the bleeding of victims in that theater. And there again, the training these guys had. Now, you know, our first responders are wonderful. Acadian Ambulance was right outside. They were wanting to get in there and do their job. But the PD had to make sure that the threat was neutralized before they could get the ambulance in there. So these officers, after they knew the threat was down, they started applying their medical knowledge and the tourniquets, and that probably saved lives also. There again, prior training is so important.
It's a great point, and all of us need, because you could come up on an auto accident or anything, and if you've got some medical training, you can take advantage of that. You can actually help people, and tourniquets. The information about tourniquets, what people don't know is that it's all changed, and what you think you know about it probably is wrong, and getting some training out there. Tommy, look, I appreciate, we're going to get you back on just as quickly as we can, because it's always a pleasure to chat with you, Tommy Carnline. If you haven't seen Tommy's video on YouTube with us, just look for First Person Defender. You'll see what we're talking about. Yeah, there were a lot of heroes there. It's, hey, it's dark and scary and all of that. Where do you go to? You go to your training. If you don't have any training, oh man, you didn't do everything you could to protect yourself and your family, did you? 866-TALK-GUN. 866-TALK-GUN.
Brownells has always given you an advantage. With their huge selection of forever guaranteed gun parts, ammunition, shooting accessories, and more. And now, they're offering you the Edge. For just $49.95, Brownells Edge covers your standard shipping and any return shipping cost for 1 year. Brownells Edge members also receive discount expedited shipping and exclusive offers. Get the Edge today by visiting brownells.com/edge.
The Smith & Wesson Bodyguards. Carry more comfortably, walk more confidently. When it comes to personal protection, nothing beats a Bodyguard. Choose the lightweight, compact, and concealable Bodyguard 380 pistol or the Bodyguard 38 revolver, both with a built-in laser sight. The Smith & Wesson Bodyguards. Carry more comfortably, walk more confidently.
In the fight for gun rights, we need ammunition, intellectual ammunition, and no one does it better than researcher John Lott, author of More Guns, Less Crime. John created the Crime Prevention Research Center to counter the junk studies being done to push gun control. But he doesn't have the big bucks of billionaires like Michael Bloomberg. All he has is us. So I'm asking for your help. Go to crimeresearch.org and donate what you can. This research makes all the difference. People ask what they can do to help preserve the Second Amendment. Honestly, this is one of the best moves you can make. If you can give a lot, that's great, but even the cost of a box of ammo helps. We need John Lott's intellectual ammunition. Go to crimeresearch.org. It's time to step up. crimeresearch.org.
The XDM 3.8 Compact from Springfield Armory is 2 guns in 1. Use as your concealed carry gun with a compact magazine and use the extended magazine for home defense. Carry 13 rounds of 9mm in the compact magazine and a whopping 19 rounds in the extended magazine. To see the entire family of Springfield Armory XDM pistols, go to springfieldarmory.com. That's springfieldarmory.com.
with you here. 866-TALK-GUN. We're open lines. If you got a range report you'd like to share with us, by all means, like to hear what you've been shooting, what you're thinking about buying. If you got any questions or comments, we'll go with that. We're open lines right now. If you carry a gun for self-defense, I'm thinking again about this shooting in Lafayette. Fabulous article just popped up on the web at the Armed Citizens Legal Defense Network's website, armedcitizensnetwork.org. It's an interview with Kevin Davis, and the whole idea behind the story is mistaken identity. Basically, what do you do? How do you handle yourself when the police show up? If you've been in a shooting or if there's been a shooting, you know, they've done a lot of research on this, and they call it blue on blue shootings, where uniformed cops show up, maybe off-duty officer is there, there's confusion, and the off-duty officer gets shot. Well, the same thing can happen to armed good guys. So it's just it's seriously good. Maybe the best piece I've ever read on this. If you go to armedcitizennetwork.org and look for that article it's by Gila Hayes. It's an interview with Kevin Davis, a top trainer. And Davis is a long time law enforcement officer. Okay, let's get this thing out of the way. Cecil the Lion. Give me a freaking break. Just because you name an animal doesn't make it special. I don't know if this guy was a good guy. I don't know if they did everything right. I don't know, but I do know a few things about hunting. I even know a few things about hunting in Africa. I've even hunted in Zimbabwe. I've even hunted, although I didn't shoot, I didn't have the tag for it, but I hunted with a friend, and we walked up on, and he shot a lion in Zimbabwe. Been there, done that. There's something I want to touch on here that is lost in all this. Of course, you know the stupidity, the outrage about Cecil the Lion, that here we're going to hunt down this guy who killed him, maybe legally, may have broken regs, I don't know. Not that much outrage about the Marines being killed in Chattanooga. Not that much outrage about innocent people getting killed. But you kill a lion that has a name? Oh, that's a different deal altogether. It's a critter. Okay? It's a critter. Here's how it works. Okay? You can get all wrapped around the axle and wound up about one animal, or you can say, I am in favor of protecting the species. I'm in favor of protecting the ecosystem, the habitat. And the truth of it is, one animal doesn't really matter, but it's the population there. So here's how it works. Let me just explain this to you. It's basic economics. You have a village, and they have cows they're raising. And lions come in and kill cows or leopards. And they say, gee, that cost us money. We need our cows. So we will therefore poison the lions and the leopards, and we will set snares for them, and we will kill as many as we can. And then somebody comes in and says, wait a minute. We got this crazy American dude over here. And he's going to come over here, and he's going to pay you the equivalent of 300 cows to kill one lion. And the money that he gives to you will put in new wells. It will build schools. It will provide for the village. Now, the village leaders look at that and go, well, then we probably ought to make sure that there are lions around. So they stop poisoning. They stop putting out snares. They make sure that there's a continuing source of lions, because that becomes a good source of revenue, thus ensuring that the poaching slows down or stops. That's how it works. Yes, it's a vested interest. I get that. People say, oh, you just want to hunt animals, so that's why you save them. Okay, yeah, fine, good. But we protect the habitat. Almost all of the money spent on habitat restoration in the United States comes from hunters. Almost all wildlife management money, conservation money, in the United States comes from hunters. $3 to $5 million a day is paid by hunters for conservation through the Pittman-Robertson funds, the excise tax on guns and ammo and other things, as well as hunting licenses. There's a disproportionate reaction to this that you can only look at it and understand that so many people in this world live in an utter fantasy land. They don't connect with the fact that their shoes came from a cow, their meat came from a cow or a chicken or a pig or something that they paid indirectly somebody to go out and shoot or electrocute or kill in some form or fashion. They can't understand the concept of sustainability. They don't or won't understand the idea that it's all about the population and not about the individual animal. And giving something a name does not make it special. It just makes it Disney-like. Too many people have watched The Lion King. I have no idea if they did it right or if they didn't do it right. I do know, and I can tell you, having been on a lot of guided hunts, when you're on a guided hunt, there's a really good chance you don't know exactly where your guide has taken you. You don't know if you're over an invisible line. Don't know if this guy knew. Don't know if they went over the invisible line. Don't know. But I just know that the reaction is there's a form of pathology at work here. There's something very, very sick about the reaction to all of this. Calling for the death of this hunter, going to his place of work and shutting it down, posting his home address, which is basically a kill list out there. These are, of course, the people who love the animals. But they do want this guy to be killed. Is anybody else seeing something wrong with this picture? It's just sick and sad and pathetic and pathological. 866 Talk Gun.
Now broadcasting on more than 200 great radio stations across America. We're taking the weekend off, so welcome back to this reloaded version of Gun Talk.
All right, back with you. If you'd like to join us, it's easy. Just dial 1 Tom Talk Gun. If you'd like to send me an email, tom@guntalk.com. Over on Twitter, I'm at GunTalk. And, of course, on Facebook, Gun Talk Media. Got a lot of things going on there. And obviously, one of the big things we have going is the Gun Dealio app. I think we just passed 10,000 people have picked it up or using it, and we're getting all kind of comments from people who said, hey, I'm saving money with this. Yeah, that's the whole idea. There are deals to be had, and wouldn't you feel foolish if you went and bought something and then found out later you could have gotten an extra mag or 2 extra mags or $75 off or whatever, and you didn't know about it? That's what Gun Dealio does for you. Let's go to line 3. Dave's with us out of, let's see, South Carolina, it looks like. Hey, Dave.
Hey, Tom.
How are you?
Real quick, I just wanted to call and heap some praise on Taurus International, its customer service.
Okay.
I had heeded your advice after Sandy Hook to acquire additional magazines for my pistols. So I set a goal of 4 magazines for all of my pistols, and talked a friend into ordering a magazine for his Taurus pistol. So this was May of 2014. My magazine was in stock. His wasn't. His arrived the first week of July of this year. But I was calling monthly to check. I was calling monthly to check on it, and oddly, I got the same guy, Jeremiah, just about every time. But polite and courteous. So they sent the magazine, a 17-round magazine for a 24/7 G2, and little did we know it needed a take-up spacer that slides over the magazine. for the grip. Oh, so big problems. Oh, that'll probably be another year. So I called back, and they said, oh, we've got it in stock, and because you've waited so long, we're going to send it to you free of charge.
Well,
yeah,
you can't ask for better than that.
That's great.
Well, that's terrific. I am glad to hear that. That's just delighted. You know, and let me just applaud you, Dave, because a lot of times people are quick to reach out and tell all their buddies when something goes wrong, but often they don't share when something goes right and when there's good news about a company. So I appreciate that. That's good info there. Thank you, sir. All right, I appreciate that. Here's a letter. We love the Truth Squad concept, which is, if you're new to it, let me explain. The Gun Talk Truth Squad, our rule is we respond when we see something that's wrong. The line is, a lie left unchallenged becomes the truth. So we challenge every lie. We no longer shrug. We have a no shrug policy. We don't just say, well, yeah, just the way it is. What are you going to do? Can't do anything about it. And we get all these stories from people who successfully live up to the Truth Squad motto. So I get this one. All right, this is from Ron. Ron says, I started listening to Gun Talk a couple of years back after a friend introduced me to the show. I have heard you speak about the Truth Squad on many occasions since. Anyhow, I have an incident that I'd like to share. We have a local restaurant here in Wichita, Kansas called Hog Wild Barbecue. My wife's son and I were eating there the other day when I noticed one of those no gun signs on the door. I thought it was curious because I had never seen one before, and it didn't comply with Kansas law, as he understands it. He says, anyway, I made a comment to my wife about needing to call that owner of the restaurant. Then the day got busy, and I promptly forgot about it. Listening to the Gun Talk podcast reminded me to follow up with the restaurant owner. So I wrote a short email describing my issue with the no gun sign. I was polite and even stated that the owner is entitled to his opinion, even if it is different from my own. But I did say with specificity that as long as the sign stayed up, I would be staying out. I said thanks for listening to my concerns, and I clicked send. I have to admit I was surprised when about 10 minutes later, my phone rang. The owner of Hog Wild was calling. He informed me that he was unaware that the sign was on the door and assured me that as soon as the general manager got back to the store, the sign would be removed. He also informed me that he is a concealed carry permit holder too. I intend to go by the store in a day or two and verify the actions were carried out, but I believe the owner was being truthful. This is a small victory, but one I'm glad to play a part in. Thanks for encouraging us regular folks to get involved and stay involved. Ron, we're all regular folks, and that's how we do it. We're polite, we're firm. Polite and firm. And we don't shrug, and we let people know, and we speak up, and we say, it's certainly you're right to put the sign up, but you just need to know that I can't bring my family in there any longer. I won't be doing that. Polite but firm. And in this case, it turns out the owner of the store, it sounds like, didn't know that the manager had put the sign up. And the owner was going to pull it down. So, it may be that somebody overstepped his bounds when you see a sign like that. Well, that is the essence of the Truth Squad. If you've ever done anything like that, I'd love to get your take on it. If you got a question or comment, or certainly range reports, anybody shooting rimfire, anybody finding any rimfire out there, I'd love to get some information on that. And also, have you considered buying a silencer? Have you bought into it? Have you gotten one? What's your take on that, and how has it changed your shooting? More fun? 866-TALK-GUN.
Put a pistol in your hand, and what's your first thought? How does it feel? Then, how can I make it perfect for me? That's why FNH USA is offering the FNS Compact, perfect for concealed carry. Ergonomic, ambidextrous, customizable. Part of the highly regarded FNS series of striker-fired polymer pistols. Find your perfect pistol. Learn more about the FNS and FNX lines at your dealer or visit us at fnhusa.com.
For 36 years, the U.S. Sportsmen's Alliance has been fighting to protect hunting, fishing, and trapping for sportsmen from coast to coast. Today, we are under constant attack from extremist animal rights groups who want to end your ability to hunt in the U.S. Join us to protect our sporting heritage and our way of life outdoors. To join or for more information on how you can help, go to ussportsman.org. That's ussportsman.org.
A great trigger can make you a better shooter. For over 60 years, Timney triggers have been trusted by hunters and shooters everywhere. Timney triggers are proudly made in the USA and come with a lifetime warranty. Installation is easy. Give yourself the Timney Trigger advantage. To see more and order online, go to timneytriggers.com. That's TIMNEY triggers.com.
You're at a gun store and your phone tells you about hot deals. Want to know about special offers? No problem when you have Gun Dealio, the free app for your smartphone. Gun Dealio delivers the latest deals on guns, ammo, and extras direct to your phone. Don't overpay for your shooting gear. Get Gun Dealio. It's free at the App Store and Google Play. Trigger the deals with Gun Dealio. GunDealio.com.
Alien Gear Holsters, the most comfortable, concealable holsters on the planet, has revolutionized the concealed carry holster market again with the new Cloak Tuck 3.0 IWB holster. This new holster improves on the original design with enhanced retention, a spring steel core, and ballistic nylon padding for added comfort. You've got to try this holster to believe it. Get yours now for as low as $43.88 at aliengearholsters.com.
All right, welcome back. 866 Talk Gun. Just a minute, I'll tell you about what happens when you get misled by the gun ban crowd. They talk you into filing a lawsuit you shouldn't have filed. It can come back and bite you 200,000 times. But first, Brandon's with us on line 2 out of Amarillo, Texas. Hello, Brandon. You're on Gun Talk.
How you doing, sir?
I'm great. What you looking for?
I'm looking for kind of an all-purpose rifle. One for home defense, but I want something that's easy to teach my kids to use as well.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
Okay, I need some more information. How old are your kids?
One's 10 and 9. My youngest one's 5, which, he'll be a little while. I'm probably going to teach him some archery. But everybody keeps throwing an AR-15 around. When I used to teach riflery at a camp I worked at, we called it a Chipmunk 22. It was like, a 22 rifle that was only like 2 feet long.
All right, well, here's the problem, Brandon. Let me just jump right in, because you say a home defense gun and then a gun to train children to shoot. Well, you figured it out. A rifle you're going to train kids with is something like a Chipmunk or a small 22, or even the little AR-15 22s that are out there. That'll work great, but that certainly would not be good for home defense. I think you're trying to combine too wide a spectrum into this. What kind of shooting, what kind of guns do you have now?
I don't have any. All my experience is based, with other people. I had some really good friends. He had an Israeli, I think it was a 9mm or a 45, one of the two. I used to shoot rifles with my uncle, that kind of stuff. I'm just now, with the way the world is and all that kind of stuff, I want to be prepared if that's the case.
Okay, I mean, it's good to be prepared. I understand that. You kind of have to figure out, okay, what am I going to be prepared for? If it's home defense, In most cases, with some exceptions, shotgun might be better. I think what you're going to run up against is that your home defense gun is not going to be a good gun for training 9 and 10-year-old youngsters with. It's going to have necessarily too much recoil. It's possible that the 223 and an AR will work for that because it does not have a lot of recoil, and it could be used as a good home defense gun. I'm going to offer this thought, though, because you don't... Yeah, that's a good thought. Jim says, how about an AR with a 22 conversion kit? That may be the way to go. Now, Smith & Wesson does have its M&P 22, which is a... that's the handgun. They also have an M&P 15-22, which is a 22 caliber AR, but it's not a conversion kit. So, Brandon, what you can do is you can get your 223 rifle, an AR-15, and then you can get a conversion kit that lets you shoot 22 rimfire in it. And that way you could teach the kids to shoot with the 22 rimfire and get a collapsible stock so you can make it short for the youngsters. That's a way to go. But honestly, the problem for me right now is that you don't have very much experience with this. I'm going to offer a thought that you could get a little bit of training, maybe go take a hunter safety class somewhere, get up to speed on some guns out there. I think it probably would help you. I think you've got a little bit of a way to go on this. All right, I promised I would share this story with you. Jessica Gawi, I believe is how you pronounce her name, a 24-year-old, she was killed in the Aurora, Colorado mass murder. Her family sued the store that sold the ammunition. At least it's the story that I'm reading here. It appears to me that they may have been represented by the San Francisco-based Law Center to Prevent Gun Violence. This is a rabidly anti-gun, gun ban group. The Law Center to Prevent Gun Violence. Well, what they did is they sued this store that did absolutely nothing wrong, and they ran smack dab up against this law that was passed in 2005, federal law, the Protection of Lawful Commerce in Arms Act. And what it says is very simple. And it says you cannot sue and hold somebody responsible for the illegal actions of someone else, the misdeeds of someone else. That is, if a gun store sells a gun to someone and then that person goes out and misuses the gun, you can't sue the gun store and try to hold them responsible for the misuse of a firearm. It'd be like suing Chevrolet because a drunk driver went out and killed somebody. No one would think that makes any sense. Well, maybe some lawyers would, but generally most people would not think that makes any sense. But this family got persuaded, trying to be quite kind here, got persuaded to file this lawsuit. Well, not only did it got tossed out, the judge has now ordered the family to pay the gun store's legal fees. $200,000. Yes, $200,000 is what this family is expecting, is being ordered to pay. And people say, well, that's just terrible. Well, you know what? Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. The family should have been informed by their attorneys that this was a possibility. I don't know if it was. If they were informed of this and they went ahead, then you know what? You take your chances. And if we lose this, we could be ordered to pay the legal fees of these people we're suing. And we're suing them not for anything they did, but for what somebody else did with the illegal product that they sold. While I feel most certainly for the family, they lost their daughter, I also have to say, way to go, courts, because otherwise it would be utter chaos out there to hold somebody responsible for the misdeeds of a third party. 866 Talk Gun. What's your take on that? This is interesting. Just saw this pop up on my Twitter feed here from the folks at Crimson Trace. Did not know about this. Crimson Trace, the laser people, getting together with GunSight, the firearms training, the gunfighting training academy out in Arizona, getting together. They're going to offer the GunSight Academy 250 defensive pistol class with lasers. Special course dated October 12 to 16 of this year. Going to be limited to only 15 students. If you would like to go, you should sign up very, very quickly. Jim says, road trip! No kidding. What a great experience that would be. One of the comments made by Dave Starrin, a GunSight training director, he says, next to holsters, the most prevalent defensive handgun accessory is the laser sight. But few, if any, firearms instructors are developing curriculum to address these sights, and even fewer know how to do that. That was actually by Richard Mann, gun writer Richard Mann. Dave Starrin's going to be part of the package there. Had somebody ask me, he says, look, I put a laser on my pistol, but you're always talking about lights and lasers. I can't find a combo that would go on my Ruger LC9S. Sometimes there is no combo light and laser, and that's why a lot of us have pocket lights. I keep which one is it? Streamlight ProTac 1L in my pocket all the time. I just bought 3 more of them. I leave a trail of them, like breadcrumbs. I lose them. I give them away. People say, what is that? I just hand it to my friend. I said, you need this. I have another. It's the Streamlight ProTac 1L. It takes one CR123 battery, 180 lumens, and they're small enough, a little bit bigger than a chapstick baby. And in low light situations, it will light up the threat, identify it, maybe even stop the threat, certainly disorient, and allow you to get off shots if you have to. Yeah, and I'm not a paid spokesman for Streamlight. They're not even a sponsor or anything else. I just buy their stuff like crazy. I buy it wherever I can get good deals on it, whether it's Amazon or other mail order places. Brownells may have them. You can check Brownells, see what that works, if that works out for you. Let's talk to James on line 2 out of Oregon. Hey, James, you're on Gun Talk.
I was calling in about the judge that ordered the family to pay the attorney fees of the $200,000. You said hats off to the court for doing what they did, but I think the real issue was that the court should have threw the case out. You know, it's pretty harsh for a family to have to come up and pay that money after the loss of a daughter like that. The real issue is that with the way that the anti-gunners are looking at this, it should, in my opinion, it just should have never even been in court. The court should have dropped the case.
Well, I understand what you're saying, but there is a procedure for getting to a certain point in the process so that where the arguments can be heard or the court can hear it and they can say, okay, this is a BS deal. And of course, then it could even be appealed. I'm looking at this. Federal Judge Richard Match disagreed. He said, calling this case an act made for, quote, political purposes meant to, quote, propagandize the public and stigmatize the defendants. In other words, he spotted that this was this gun control group's effort to try to basically do an attack on the gun store itself, and it really had no merit. And I hope that the lawyers informed the family that this was a possibility. It certainly is there. And people say, well, they've got this law that says you can't sue gun makers, but you can sue, Black & Decker. Well, you can't sue Black & Decker if somebody takes a skill saw and goes and attacks people with it. You can still sue gun makers if they make a defective product. The law allows that. You can sue a gun store if it is acting illegally or it's negligent. But you can't sue them for the acts of a third party that they had nothing to do with. That's the essence of the law. I would argue it's also the essence of common sense. Hey, when we come back, we're going to give away one of the greatest rifles you have ever seen.